Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hey, folks, today is Friday, July 21st, 2023. Coming up, I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We're live here in Cincinnati at the Cincinnati Music Festival, the 52nd annual festival. You're going to hear from a number of people. Slick Rick, Dougie Fresh, Big Daddy Kane. Also, Commissioner Alicia Reese will talk about the Cincinnati Black Walk of Fame. We'll also show you the vendors. Had a great chance to see some of them a few moments ago as well. And so we'll show you the kickoff concert was last night. Tonight, a huge night, folks. Jodeci, Jill Albright, so many artists on tonight. Of course, tomorrow, Snoop Dogg, Babyface, and others. And so we have complete coverage as we're partnering with P&G, the sponsor of this festival. We also, of course, got lots of other news we're covering. Vice President Kamala Harris was in Florida today talking about the new description of formerly enslaved people. We would tell you what she had to say about that, how they're now talking about that in Florida. Also, the president of Texas A&M University, Katherine Banks, has resigned after the debacle involving black journalism professor Kathleen McElroy. We'll tell you about that as well. In Alabama, they are defying a Supreme Court order refusing to draw a second black congressional district. We'll tell you what's happening there as well. Lots of stuff to cover. It's time for us to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
We are live here in Cincinnati, Paycor Stadium, for the 52nd annual Cincinnati Music Festival. It's going to be kicking off in about an hour, 7:30. Gerald Albright hits the stage. It is a huge night, folks. You've got Gerald Albright, Midnight Star, Jodeci, Jill Scott, and the closer tonight, the great Al Green. The last night, they kicked it off with a hip-hop concert. celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, and we got a chance to hear the greats Dougie Fresh, Big Daddy Kane. Also, Slick Rick was in the house, as well as Rakim. And so tomorrow night, the closing night, you've got an amazing lineup, folks. Norman Brown, Avery Sunshine, P-Funk Conversion, Babyface, and the closing out is going to be Snoop Dogg. And so we're going to be covering this all weekend, partnering with the folks at P&G. We thank them so very much for partnering with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we got here yesterday, again, covering the various events. If you saw the Black Star Network, they had the hip-hop panel taking place on yesterday. And so we live streamed that. If you missed that, simply go to the Black Star Network app, or you can actually go to our YouTube channel. You can see that particular panel. Then, of course, a little later in the show, we're going to show you my conversation with Big Daddy Kane and Dougie Fresh as well. And, of course, some of the other amazing artists coming up. Ran to Gerald Albright as he was on his way to sound check. And so I told him we'll take some of his performance live. So I got to show my frat brother. And so lots of stuff to show for you as well, folks. And so this weekend and tomorrow, they're going to be debuting the Cincinnati Black Walk of Fame. And so we're going to hear from Commissioner Alicia Reese. She's the person behind that. That she conceived that whole idea. So we'll show you what it looks like. And so tomorrow, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern, we'll also be live streaming that program and the ribbon cutting ceremony and talking with this year's honorees. There's also a concert. The Ohio players will have that for you as well. And so you want to stay tuned to the Black Star Network for all of this unique coverage. You're not going to find this anywhere else. This is why we do what we do. And so we of course, are happy to be here and bring it to you live on the network, on the app. And, of course, you can also see our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week streaming channel on Amazon News, courtesy. Just go to Amazon Fire TV. You can see that. And also, we're now on Plex TV as well, and so you can catch us there as well. And so all kind of ways for you to access our content, bringing you stuff that no one else has. As you see right there, Plex, just simply go to their live TV and check out us there. And then, of course, Amazon News as well. So, again, a little bit later, we'll show you some of those interviews with Alicia Reese, the commissioner, as well as Dougie Fresh and Big Daddy Kane. I want to first start off today's show, though. Vice President Kamala Harris was in Jacksonville, Florida, giving a speech today, and she addressed the ongoing issues there where Florida has just made some changes to their education rules as to how they're going to be describing formerly enslaved people. They're literally putting it in the books there that they received skill set for personal benefit. It's angered a lot of different people how Florida is trying to now redefine the issue of slavery in this country. The vice president wasted no time addressing that issue in her remarks today in Jacksonville.
There is extraordinary leadership, Jennifer and everyone else, in this state, and you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. I'll tell you, yesterday I was traveling to meet with some folks when I heard the news about what happened here. And our team and the president, is completely on board with this. We said we got to remind the folks of Florida that you're not fighting out here by yourselves. We believe in you. We believe in the people of Florida. And so I decided to come and visit with you today. And, well, let me start by saying this. I am a product of a public school education. I was sharing with some of the teachers earlier, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Frances Wilson, God rest her soul, attended my law school graduation. I am a product of teachers and an educational system that believed in providing the children with the full expanse of information that allowed them to then, and encouraged them to then reach their own conclusions and exercise critical thought in a way that was directly intended to nurture their leadership. I am fully aware that it is because of that approach that I stand before you as Vice President of the United States of America. So when I think about where we are today and who we are as a community of people within the beauty of the diversity that I see in front of me. I know that there are many things we share in common. And first and foremost, we share in common a deep love of our country and the responsibility we each have then to fight for its ideals. That is so critically important on the subject then that gathers us here today. Because you see, when we think about it, part of true patriotism means fighting for a nation that will be better for each generation to come. Right? Believing that our nation is worth the investment in fighting for the children of America, that we will provide them with the information they need to go into the world and lead. I will tell you, as Vice President of the United States, I have now met with over 100 world leaders, presidents, prime ministers, chancellors, and kings. One of the things about who we are as Americans is we can walk in those rooms with the authority earned, for the most part, except recently sometimes, earned authority to walk in those rooms talking about what it means to uphold democracies, the importance of rule of law, human rights. And when we walk in those rooms, we do it proud of the fact that we have been held up and held out as a role model. Well, the thing about being a role model is this. When you're a role model, people watch what you do to see if it matches what you say. So understand the impact that this is having not only for the children of Florida and our nation, but potentially people around the world. Because on a more specific point in that regard, we want to know that we are sending our children out as role models of a democracy who therefore know the importance of speaking and telling truth, the importance of understanding when you are a leader, you must know history. And by the way, be really clear. Be really clear. All the folks that we would go out and send our children to go and meet around the world are clear about our history. And we're going to send our own children out to not know what it is? Building in a handicap for our children that they're going to be the ones in the room who don't know their own history when the rest of the world does? Think about this for a moment.
Joining us now, Matt Manning, civil rights attorney, also Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show out of Detroit. Glad to have both of y'all here. Matt, what really jumps out here, I think, when you look at what's going on, look, I wrote my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, the attack on critical race theory, the attack on DEI, the attack on affirmative action. And so what you have here are folks who are trying to redefine the history of this country. They've been so pissed off the 1619 Project. They're angered that African Americans and Latinos are now having their own voice, and we're seeing this thing play out in Florida, in Texas, in other places as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Gary Bledsoe, the president of the NAACP in Austin there said, or rather in Texas, said, look, you know, this is to show that this is no longer the lofty goal of just educating students. And that's what's so problematic about this. You know, colleges are usually the place where people go to have an exchange of ideas. So in that space, especially, you would expect that there would be an adherence to true historical standards and the truth about history. But beyond that, a tolerance for something you don't agree with. But what we see now is an attack in our legislatures and Congress, everywhere. They're attacking this idea of wokeism. And what's so problematic about that is that it's not intellectually honest. Most people have no idea what critical race theory is. They hear the word race and they get triggered. And the problem with that is that it's denying people the truth of history, number one, but it's also the intellectual dishonesty, because we know they're going to come shuck and jive at the next MLK Day event or next year for Juneteenth or whatever else thing that's politically expedient. They're going to shuck and jive for that when the time comes. But the rest of the year, they're doing everything they can to expressly deny us history. And that is an attack on democracy, an attack on personhood, and something that we see from our legislature. And it's especially insidious because their job is to make sure we have the services we need, not to deny us the truth of history. So I'm sad to see this, but this is part and parcel with what we're seeing around the country.
Michael, what you're dealing with here, Michael, again, we're seeing the drama that's taking place, and we're seeing, again, how they don't want this next generation to truly understand what this country has gone through. And frankly, what this is all about is, again, as Paul Harvey used to say, now the rest of the story. And so they've sort of had this other story that has been cute, but wasn't truly factual, and is driving them crazy. There's another side to this.
Yeah, Roland, you know, there's so much going on with this. I was reading articles dealing with this yesterday. I'll be discussing this on the African History Network show this weekend. First of all, to try to do this revisionist history, and I haven't read the 216-page document that came from the Florida State Board of Education, but from what I understand, it includes controversial language like slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. So when we look at this history, there were at least 262 skills, trades, and crafts that African people had in this country from 1619 to 1865. In the book by James Newton, The Other Slaves, Mechanics, Artisans, and Craftsmen, 1978, documents this, okay? But to try to reframe this history, and it appears like they're trying to make it like it was the norm for slaves who had skills to be able to make money while they're enslaved and benefit themselves, things like this. Yes, you have some instances of this, but this was not the norm, okay? This is not what happened to the majority of them. And, you know, when we talk about this revisionist history, now this does not surprise me at all, because there was a 130-year campaign or so propaganda revisionist history surrounding the Civil War called the Lost Cause. And the Lost Cause rewrote the history of the Civil War. It made the South the heroes, the Confederates the heroes. It made them the victims of the Union. Okay, it said that the Civil War wasn't because of slavery, it's because of secession. It said that the Confederate soldiers were heroes and all different types of things like this. And one of the biggest pieces, maybe in the last 40 years, of that revisionist history would be the TV show The Dukes of Hazzard, either intentionally or unintentionally, because the car that was really the star of the Dukes of Hazzard is called the General Lee, named after General Robert E. Lee, who was a traitor to the Union, the Confederate general from Virginia. And on top of the General Lee car is the Confederate battle flag of Northern Virginia, which is a symbol of the insurrection, okay, which was General Robert E. Lee's regiment, okay? So we have to have a better understanding of history to see these threats coming. And lastly, this is the power that a governor has. And Ron DeSantis, even though he may act stupid, he has a degree in history from Yale University. He may act stupid, but he's not ignorant of history. Okay, so this is the example, another example of why elections have consequences. We have to stop threats like this.
All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We got to go to a break. We come back. We're here, of course, in Cincinnati for the Cincinnati Music Festival. They're going to be starting about 7:30 tonight with the performances. You're going to be hearing from Dougie Fresh, Big Daddy Kane, Commissioner Alicia Reese, and others, folks. So we got some great stuff for you, breaking down what's happening here. The 52nd Annual Cincinnati Music Festival. A lot of y'all who watch this show, I've been seeing y'all all around Cincinnati, and so we appreciate all our fans here as well. So we'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on The Frequency with me, Dee Barnes, actress, writer, and advocate Rae Chong is here to discuss her childhood and break down her life in Hollywood, a show you don't want to miss. Well, even at my peak when I was getting a lot of stuff, as soon as I was working a ton, I heard people whispering, oh, we don't want to pay her because we're giving her a break. Only on The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
For decades, the tobacco industry has deliberately targeted Black communities and kids with marketing for menthol cigarettes. It's had a devastating impact on Black health. Tobacco use claims 45,000 Black lives every year. It's the #1 cause of preventable death. In the 1950s, less than 10% of Black smokers used menthol cigarettes. Today, it's 85%. Menthol cools and numbs the throat, making it easier for kids to start smoking. Menthol also increases addiction, making it harder for smokers to quit. Menthol cigarettes are a big reason why Black Americans have a harder time quitting smoking and die at higher rates from smoking-related diseases like cancer, heart disease, and stroke. It's time to stop Big Tobacco from profiting off Black lives. An FDA ban on menthol cigarettes will improve Black health, save lives, and protect future generations from addiction. Learn more at tobaccofreekids.org/ban menthol.
Hey, what's up? It's Sammy Roman.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, welcome back to Paycor Stadium. We're here in Cincinnati for the Cincinnati Music Festival. Gates are going to be opening in about 5 minutes. We just made that announcement. Things kicked off last night with a salute to the 50th anniversary of hip-hop featuring Slick Rick, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, and Dougie Fresh. We had an opportunity to catch up with Big Daddy Kane in his dressing room, and here is our conversation. Man, how you doing?
I'm great, man. Great. Wonderful.
You on stage, you said, look, y'all, I'm 54. Hip-hop 50th anniversary. And so many people, I mean, you've seen celebrations left and right. But when you think about it getting to this point and you still being in this game, do you just go, man, this is amazing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, I remember like when I just first got into it, taking my parents to go see Jerry Butler or
Iceman.
Yeah, see Jerry Butler. Also go see Little Anthony and the Imperials, you know, and just knowing that, they started back in the 50s. So to still be doing what I do, I think is a blessing, really.
And then when you see, because when you say it for the folks who are 40 and over, and folks still excited, they're still energized by it, and that to me, I think, is what speaks volumes, how the music still resonates with folk.
Well, right now, hip hop is a music genre. Back then, hip hop was more of a culture. So there's people that was raised in that culture. There's elements of it that they grew up speaking, wearing, listening to. And, it's something that sticks with them. And here we are, for me, 36 years later, and they still love it. And I mean, I feel blessed, and I'm glad that they still support,
Are you surprised when you travel around the world, you go places, and folk who can't even speak English are reciting lyrics?
Yeah, like that's something amazing. Like especially like you go like Japan, because it's like they may not speak, English, but they know all the lyrics, and they also know all the call and response. They know all the call and response. Like you ask them to say ho, they're gonna say. You have to say yeah, whatever. They know all the call and response.
So in many ways, it's similar to when cats in England would be singing Little Richard and James Brown and the artists on Chess Records. I mean, they knew our music.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, well, I'm like in England, they speak English the right way. You know what I'm saying?
But their fervor for our music is what's crazy.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you got to understand, Brother Roland. I mean, we tour the states on the regular. Mm-hmm. They rarely get to see us. So when we do make our presence felt overseas, it's extra special because we don't tour over there on the regular. When
you talk about being in this business 36 years, and it's a lot of cats who didn't make it. So many artists who passed in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and early 50s. And I had this conversation on my show with Chuck D and a couple other guys, and they said that's something they said in the next 50 years has to be a focus, these young brothers dying early.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, on so many different levels, in a way of trying to educate not only the artists, but also the listeners to stay healthy and take care of themselves. And then also, if it's any type of way, shape, or form of structuring something where they can get health benefits, as much money. I mean, this year, hip-hop made, I believe, $23 billion. So there's enough money around there, Because, I mean, we've artists like Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash, Kool Herc, that paved the way. These are the ones that started all of this,
right?
And, they should be, I really recognized and taken care of.
I think back to the Academy, how they literally have retirement homes for actors and other folks who've been in the business. And I'm always, look, because I'm having my show and so on those lines, I'm always trying to explain to our people, when we talk about do it for the culture, I'm like, no, let's make sure that we are benefiting, monetizing the culture and not other folks still getting rich off us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I tell people this all the time. Nobody can tell our story better than us because we lived it. And we should be the ones telling our story. It should never be the type of thing where someone that never really lived it or understood the true essence is trying to interpret something that, they have a basic learning of. It should be those that started it, help make it break through and just have it, that whole thing in them spiritually. Mm-hmm.
I was at Essence and Dougie Fresh and D Nice said something. They said, thinking about the next 50 years, it's incumbent upon the creators or the originators to ensure the next generation understands the historical roots and the foundation so that doesn't get lost moving forward. Your thoughts on that?
I think that that's very important. I think that we definitely need to preserve the roots and constantly teach that, just for the simple fact that those who come in the game have an appreciation for the culture as opposed to just the popularity, because the popularity can keep you in the business for a year or two. Matter of fact, nowadays, maybe 6 months.
Right.
I think when you have that appreciation, that understand, you really know how to touch a fan base, that's when you can have that type of stay power and longevity in the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there something that you want to do that you haven't done yet?
Something that I want to do that I haven't done yet. I mean, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff, but it's all silly stuff. I mean, I think with the most important things, I kind of feel like I've done, because I mean, there was a time in my life where people would come up to me and say, "Raw is my jam, Ain't No Half Stepping is my song." But now I'm at a point in my life where people come up to me and they say, "Your first album got me through college. Your second album got me through Desert Storm.
Explain how that feels. A brother stopped me in the airport, and he said, "Man, I went back to school because of you." And people don't understand what that means. How does that feel when someone says that to you and you're receiving that black love?
Well, that's something that means a lot to me for two different reasons. For one, to know that you can help to uplift someone and motivate them, to know that your music had that type of power and inspiration. That's a beautiful thing. But then also, I'm also, a witness to that. I graduated high school because of Melly Mel. I wouldn't have graduated high school if it wasn't for that song Beach Street Breakdown by Melly Mel. So I get it.
Last question for you. You were one of the early cats who understood dressing like a grown man. So is that something that you also want the next generation, in terms of the clean look and everything like that? Because, cats, they different looks, but you made it clear, look, how brothers dressed all around the country, you always clean on stage.
Well, I mean, it's the type of thing where when you look back in the 70s when hip-hop began, the cats from the Bronx, that started it, they had a b-boy movement that they was, pretty much pushing. But a lot of the fan base that was listening to it, you had cats that was wearing, the double knit sweaters, the alpacas, the quarterfields, things of that nature. And, that was a different style. I grew up, as a little shorty hanging out in the corner I couldn't wait, till one of the pimps or the hustlers pull up, and when they with suits on with their deuce and a quarter or they coupe de ville, like that was just a fashion that meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to other people. So when I came out, that was something that I wanted to really, showcase,
Yeah, well, it's a lot of these cats, they know put a suit on. But I always tell them, when you put a suit on, I said, you sort of have a different walk when you put that suit and hat on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You better believe it, man.
Yes, sir. Well, Big Daddy Kane, man, great to chat with you. Glad to see you still out here doing your thing, and folks are still loving it.
It's a blessing, like I said. I'm glad to do it, but I tell you this, man, what I'm doing is cool, but I'm glad to see you out here doing your thing. When I look at you, on TV or on the gram or anything, and see your passion and how adamant you are about issues, I'm like, that's a powerful brother right there, man. Keep your foot on their neck, man.
I appreciate it, my brother.
Respect, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So Matt and Michael, it's so interesting. We have this 50th anniversary of hip hop, different celebrations. People talking about the music, but as we talked to with Big Daddy Kane, but also you're going to hear from Dougie Fresh, we also got to deal with who's making money off of this culture. And that's one of the things that T.I. always talks about. We have to always be monetizing our own culture. And I think that has to be a large part of all these conversations, Michael, because it's great to talk about, we contributed this and we did this and we did that. But the question is, who's getting paid from it? And unfortunately, it's not a lot of us.
Yeah, Roland, I totally agree. First of all, great job in interviewing Big Daddy Kane, who I follow on Instagram. Okay, I'm a big Daddy Kane fan. It's so much that he said there. And yes, we have to control this art form, this culture. And I was born in 71, so I saw the birth largely of hip hop and saw it go through its different phases. Okay. And I've gotten to know some hip hop artists and interviewed them on the African History Network show. And one of the things I think is important to understand with this 50th anniversary of hip hop, at the Essence Music Festival, that was July 2nd through the 4th, I watched a lot of the performances on Hulu Live. I saw Megan Thee Stallion's performance, Eve, Trina, all of them. But before Megan Thee Stallion performed, there was a panel discussion with Yo-Yo, okay? You can't play with my Yo-Yo. And one of the things Yo-Yo said is that she said, we need to have a real discussion about this music, and I'm paraphrasing, coming from the female hip-hop artist, because she said a lot of this music is slut music, okay? When we look at, there was just a statement from Fabulous, hip-hop artist Fabulous, and he said that he meant no disrespect to anybody. He said he liked to see female hip-hop artists rhyme and things like this. But he said today, it seems like it's only one type of female hip hop artists that's being promoted and getting the airplay, things like this, okay? And then Bow Wow. We remember Bow Wow when he was a child, Chad Moss. And there was just an interview that he did, and we posted on our fan page, the African History Network, where he talked about how today, a lot of these hip hop artists, you don't have to have talent to be a hip hop artist. And he said he thinks the trend is about to move back to where you have to have talent. So the 4 elements of hip hop were MCing, breakdancing, graffiti, and DJing. The 5th element was knowledge, okay? This is historical, so we have to put the knowledge back into hip hop.
Yeah, absolutely. The knowledge is important, Matt, but again, I look at, again, the next phase is who owns this? Who owns the music? Who's making money off of the clothing? Who's making money off of all of this? And what I don't want to see is us continue to make other folk money and we not benefiting from something that we created.
Especially where it's weaponized before it's monetized by people who weaponize it, right? So I'm not quite as long in the tooth as you and Michael, as I like to say. But even in my lifetime, hip hop a lot of artists have gone from being vilified, right, to being monetized. So to your point, it's absolutely something that people need to make sure they're making money on. And beyond that, there need to be more artists, which there are a great deal now, who are standing up and recognizing the value of their product and how much leverage they have, right? When I was in college, I remember Drake came out with one of his mixtapes, and I think it sold like 1 million, and he wasn't even signed to a label. And that was a huge deal, because to sell 1 million units with no label, you don't need a label. You have the control. You go to the label and you control everything in terms of what happens with your contract. Now, that's not every artist, but my point is, with all the channels now to get music and culture out there, one of the first things we have to think of as people is how to protect that and how to leverage it. Because once you get to a certain level where you've got a lot of buzz, you have the control. But I think people don't always think about it in that regard. So that's an important thing to make sure that artists are not only protecting themselves, but that they're giving themselves the appropriate value of their product before they put it out into the marketplace and control how that happens.
Indeed, indeed. All right, hold tight 1 second. When we come back, we're going to hear from Dougie Fresh, the human beatbox. As we are here at Cincinnati Music Festival, we're also going to be hearing from Commissioner Elisa Reese talking about the Cincinnati Black Walk of Fame that's going to be debuting tomorrow. Here, we're going to be covering that live, and so we got all of that for you. Plus, I took a walk of a lot of the vendors here, a lot of our fans, and so we just want to show y'all, give y'all a peek of what it looks like on the outside of the stadium, as well as we're here covering the 52nd annual Cincinnati Music Festival from Paycor Stadium. We'll be back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Don't forget, support us in what we do. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Support our Bring the Funk fan club. See your check and money orders, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
I'm Dr. Greg Carr, and coming up on the next Black Table, thinking about the Black freedom movement in a global way. Dr. John Monroe joins us to discuss his book, The Anti-Colonial Front, which maps the social justice movement in the United States and its impact internationally, from Asia to Africa, and how movements like anti-communism were used to slow down racial equality, like critical race theory today.
Critical race theory today, communism back then, that's essentially mobilized to shut down any challenges to a given system of power.
Connecting the civil rights movement to colonialism on the next Black Table, exclusively here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
as an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol. We've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance.
We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
On the next A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking all things mental health and how helping others can help you. We all have moments where we have struggles, and on this week's show, our guests demonstrate how helping others can also help you. Why you should never stop giving and serving others on a next A Balanced Life here on Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Devon Frank.
I'm Dr. Robin B., pharmacist and fitness coach, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Paycor Stadium. We're at the 52nd Annual Cincinnati Music Festival. He is the human beatbox. He is a brother who is a pioneer in hip-hop. He is my homeboy, Dougie Fresh. He, of course, performed last night to kick off this music festival. And we also caught up with him backstage, and here he is, our conversation. What's up, man?
Man, look, everything is good now you here.
Always good to see you.
You know, it's always good to see you.
Both of us came quite colorful for Cincinnati.
But I mean, you know, I'm seeing you keeping your personal tailor intact. Always got something slick on.
Well, you know.
I always ask you, because, I mean, it's exclusive. And then I ask you, I say, yo, where you get it? Oh, yeah, I had that brought in. Yeah, I had that shipped in. I was like, yo, is he just saying this to me?
No, I got a white one that is going to be ready next week. I had the Kente ordered from Ghana.
Brother, and you know I've been to Ghana, so this is authentic.
Oh, yeah. No, I got a guy there who I say I want this. He makes it and then ships it to me.
Right, well, I mean, and you know, honestly, we got to have a conversation about that because you're the only guy that I see consistently with all these different authentic fabrics.
Well, you know, the thing for me is like, look, I got 8 tuxedos, I got 120 suits, but one, I want to be different. I want to be, and plus people kept expecting me with the ascot, and I was like, see, that
was first.
Right,
That was the
and people go like, what ascot? So I'm like, hold up. I said, I got to hit y'all with a curveball. So now they don't know what I'm going to come out with.
Brother, I'm telling you, you know I keep it 100. I have not seen nobody with your pieces on, man. Beautiful work, man. Beautiful pieces.
Man, let's talk about 50th anniversary of hip-hop. You've had all these different events, and folks have been focusing on it. And I really think you said something when we were in New Orleans. You talked about the importance of establishing the foundation and the history so those coming forward do not forget the 5 elements.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things that's interesting is that people don't understand. Sometimes we do things like in our history alone, and we don't understand the connection. I remember when I was in South Africa, and I seen some brothers and sisters dancing in a circle. And I said, yo, we used to do that at the rooftop in Harlem. And some of the things we do are just so natural, so authentic, so genetic. And when I'm looking at hip hop and I'm seeing all these generations, I think they need to understand why this happened, how this happened, and how to keep it going. So I'm always sharing with them because I say this too. I say I got love for the artists that I hear today, but I respect the pioneers that paved the way. And I'm always trying to teach them about DJ Hollywood, Love Bug Starsky, Busy B, Curtis Blow, Cold Crush Brothers, Fantastic, just Cool Herc, just people that I was fortunate enough to learn directly from, which made me have to push myself creatively and take a chance when nobody would take a chance.
I think the benefit today, I sort of look at, Ben and Alpha, we talk about our 7 jewels, where they all passed away. But I look at the National Association of Black Journalists. For me, a lot of our founders, they're still with us. So the benefit for many artists, they can still learn from those who created it. They're still here. Right. They just have to be willing to want to sit down and pick their minds and talk about it.
Right, and sometimes they do. Like if I run into Jeezy, we sat in his room and had conversations about hip hop. He asked me about Tupac. How was he? What was he like? Because the Tupac used to run around with me. So I'd tell him about Tupac, tell him about Biggie. And a lot of guys are interested in the information, but sometimes we got to slow it down. Kind of like when we get together, you know, I see you moving, but when we take a minute and we there, like when we was out there in Paisley and we talked and you got into that conversation and started breaking down, meaning like just information that you carry, you know, I think that we got to slow it down and have conversations amongst ourselves so that we can get a better understanding of this thing called hip hop. Because for it to last for 50 years, 50 years, and where it came from and where it's at now, it's a hell of a story, man.
And I think that what I look at, because I'm always following the money.
Of course.
You look at cats today, and they understand how we have to monetize our culture. I always say that other folk have gotten very rich off of us, and you're seeing folks who understand now owning clothing labels, owning spirits, owning aspects, not just signing marketing deals, not just signing endorsement deals. To me, I think that's the most important piece moving forward, us monetizing this culture.
And you know, what you're saying is so powerful because, see, we're so creative that we're just thinking creative and we're not looking at monetizing the culture. And some people are mad when you see brothers and sisters out here making great money. I'm not, because I know how this is and I know how this was. I was one of the fortunate ones. I was able to own my masters at a very young age, own the publishing. Prince and me used to sit down and go through things. Me and Michael Jackson talked about the ownership of masters and publishing. James Brown was a little different. He told me, son, read your Bible and always take care of your feet and take care of your teeth.
Take care of your feet, take care of your teeth.
Take care of your feet and your teeth. And then I said, I was with his sister out in Augusta. I met his daughter out in Augusta. I said, you know what your father told me? I said, he told me to take care of my feet, my teeth. He said, exactly. He said, did he tell you your hair? I said, no, he seen I had a haircut, so I think he didn't know. But that's what I mean, that we don't talk to each other. I was telling Kane that when we don't talk to each other, we can't help each other, and we don't share with each other. Like what you doing with your station and the way that you got it going on. You know, I remember when you broke off and did this. You know what I mean? And we've been talking about it, and this is, you know, we got to inspire people to do what you did, to do what hip-hop did. What you did is what hip-hop did. Mm-hmm. So to me, I think sharing the information is important, educating people on it, and as you said, monetizing it, because a lot of this stuff is set up where we don't know how to build systems.
There you go.
And because we don't know how to build systems, we become a part of someone else's system, so we don't get the ownership we deserve. We just become part of that instead of building our own system like you did. And now it comes to you. and then you could spread it to all our brothers and sisters, you know?
When I read Uncle Luke's book, and he talked about when he was selling his own merchandise, and other cats were they'd already sold off their stuff, and they were like, "Dude, what you doing?" He was like, he said, "I was making 30, 40 grand after every show." They had sold their rights off to somebody for $2,500, $5,000, and they were like, "Are you serious?" And he said, the Diddy's of the world, a lot of these guys, he said Jay-Z's of the world, they saw what he was doing and they just took it to a whole new level. And that's why I think if you talk about the next 50 years of hip hop, it's really, again, us owning the creativity, and we say owning the culture. Like, I hate the phrase, I really do. I hate the phrase, do it for the culture. Because I then go, but are we owning it?
That's right, because there's a lot of people doing it for the culture and they don't own it. You know, and the other piece that I think to go the next 50 years that I think is one of the biggest things that we don't look at is your health. Because I think we are suffering as a people because of lack of information about health, different habits that we have, different things we need to break. You know, when I look at the entertainers, a lot of entertainers are sick. A lot of them are sick secretly.
Sick, don't have health care. Kane and I talked about that. And so many great hip-hop artists we've lost. Not forget the folks who, well, not forget them, but the folks who died because of violence, but other folks who were just 30s and 40s and 50s, individuals never even barely getting to 50.
And you know, that's the next step for me because of me being such a part of it and me being that fifth element in hip-hop. I know that it's time for us to be more health conscious. So that's why I formulated this organization, Hip Hop Public Health. And I did it with my brother, Dr. Elijah Williams, who's a neurologist from Africa, Nigeria. We got together and we go around and we educate kids, we educate parents about different things, see different little symptoms that you can catch. Because a lot of us, Roland, some of us don't even want to go get a checkup. And then when it hit, you can't do nothing about it. You're on the other side of it, and you're chasing it if you catch it. So
I feel something. I go, okay, let's see how long that's gonna last. I got my doctor and dentist cell phone and home phone. Hey, look, I've been in other cities and gotten sick. I'm like, I need you to call in prescription. We ain't having that.
Look, and I tell people, I tell them this. I say, yeah, it's definitely about getting the money, but I know health is wealth, and you get wealth from your health. There's a lot of people rich who can't even enjoy their lives because they're not even physically capable of enjoying their lives. So for me, for the next 50 years to be a powerful 50 years, we have to be healthy, and definitely we have to get our financials together. But you can't do that if you ain't healthy.
Right. I got ask you this here, because earlier you mentioned James Brown, and we talk about how he's been sampled a lot, but you've also been sampled with Lottie Dottie, and so talk about that again. How folk talk about the older artists, they're like sampling your stuff as well.
Look, the younger artists, the older artists. Lottie Dottie is something that there's really no words to describe it, but the main part of it, though, is we own it. We own it. We own the publishing. We own the masters. People don't know. When I first did these records, I took the money out of my pocket and paid for this to be done. And when I did it, I did a deal with a label. And when I went in there, part of that deal was the ownership of the masters and the publishing. And so I was the first guy. I started owning my publishing and my masters in '85. So this thing has turned into more than I even thought, because now you got Miley Cyrus sampling it. You got this artist sampling it. You got reggae artists, pop, soul, whatever it is, and they take pieces of it. You know, Beyonce used our stuff multiple times. And we're not greedy. You know what I mean? We want them to use it, and we also
because it extends it. And when they make it popular, somebody else goes, "Hey, I want to grab it."
Right. And if they sample their record, I get a piece of that record. You know what I'm saying? So this thing is just going on and on.
That's where the phrase "how to make money when you sleep."
Oh my God, man! Even when Biggie did Biggie, 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 can't you? I go to schools and I say, "Do you know that?" And they start singing it. I say, "You know that's my song." They be like, "Are you serious?" So you know what I mean? So I'm catching the younger generation. Right. If they not doing the Dougie, they hearing different songs with different samples in it. So I'm so engraved in everything that's going on that you can't even extract me. You know what I mean?
So you saw like Lionel Richie now being on American Idol. It's a whole different generation now vibing to this 70-plus-year-old dude.
Brother, I'm telling you, I'll be feeling so thankful about it because I'm still happy doing it. People are able to use the different things that was created along the way, and there's more creation to go. And I like to collaborate with a lot of the new artists because to take this energy that I got and put it with what you got, and we combined it, we making something new. That's what I do with Stevie Wonder. I go hang out with him, I'm doing the beatbox, he starts singing, you do that again, do that again. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of, you just keep creating, keep being thankful, man, and just, you know, and just take care of yourself. Because, once again, you could be financially rich, spiritually bankrupt, or your health could just be shot. So I think when we look at hip-hop, we got to understand how to put all these things in order. Don't just think about the money. Right. You got to take care of yourself because you can't enjoy yourself. Like when I was telling you out there, when I seen you dancing on the thing, I said, yo, he got a lot of energy, man. I said, and you know I'm keeping it on. I said, yo, you see how he's getting down? I said, this is crazy, but.
And see, all the people on Instagram were like, oh, I know he need to go lay in Epsom salt. I was like, no, I do this all the time.
Bro, you did it on stage with me. Like me and him. He's on stage going in. I'll be like, he goes so hard and I love it.
See, I have a simple philosophy. If I go home and my clothes are dry, I'm pissed.
That's right.
But if I got to go home in the hotel and peel my clothes off, I'm like, that was a good night.
That's what I tell people too. I tell them, I say, look, after I finish shows sometimes, I say, look, if you hired somebody to come and do your show and they don't look like this right here, you better get your money back.
There you go.
And they go like this, yes, yes, yes. Because, man, I'm telling you, we got to put everything into it, man. You know, if you really love what you do and you're doing what you love, nobody got to tell you. You're going to do it naturally.
All y'all folks who watching do understand. I'm Dougie's hype man, so he knows. When we did the TV One thing, it was so funny. So they were like, who should bring Dougie out? And you were like, yo, Roland should bring me out. Right, and I said, and I told, so Alfred Liggins was standing there, and I said, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. I said, when he go, I said, we go, and he gonna tell me that's your spot right there. Alfred's like, no, he's not. I was like, all right. I went, okay, just watch what's about to happen. And then it happened. He was like, y'all done that before? I'm like, yeah, fool.
Look,
had to let him know.
Look, and you know what's so crazy? We never even rehearsed it. Meaning, like,
I don't even know most places where you are. I would come somewhere, I'm like, Dougie here?
Right.
Let's go see what he doing.
Look, and remember the last journalist thing out in the
yeah.
You got me up there. It was because of you.
You were like on the third floor?
Third floor. He was looking, he said, where's he?
Somebody on stage, they said, hey, Roland, Dougie on the third floor. Ain't nobody up there. I was like, I'm going to get him.
Look, he went upstairs and got me and brought me down, and we turned it into something that night. I'm actually doing that this year now.
Okay, at Birmingham?
Yeah.
Well, you know I'm going to be there.
Well, I'm saying, I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know how this is going to go. And it all started from that. See, certain things are just natural, man. There's no forced energy. We just do it. There's no make-believe. You know what I mean? It's so natural that people be thinking, yo, was y'all rehearsing that in the back right there?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope.
Crazy, bro.
Drop the beat. It's time to dance.
And it's crazy because now I forgot that you was the one that orchestrated that whole thing. And it's crazy they called me back. They called me back. They said, yo, we got to get you back, you know, because you got on and you did a little something, but we want you to go all the way in. I was like, this is crazy, man. So this is what we do, brother.
That's how it works.
We living it, ain't we?
Sir. Always good to see you, baby.
Always a pleasure, brother. Always.
Keep doing your thing.
Yes, sir. You too.
Yes,
we rolling together.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Y'all see how we roll here at Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Ain't nobody else doing this. That's what I'm talking about. And Matt, I think Dougie Fresh is the black Benjamin Button. I'm trying to figure out who is yet to age, Dougie Fresh or Lorenz Tate.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, those brothers don't age. I don't know what else you want me to tell you, but you're right.
Right. I don't know what the hell they eating and drinking, but they don't age at all. And he's still doing his thing. And I do think it's critically important, Michael, that, again, that next generation truly understands maintaining the historical aspect of hip-hop.
Maintaining the historical aspect of hip-hop, maintaining the integrity of hip-hop, understanding the golden age of hip-hop, late 80s, early 90s, when we had conscious hip-hop, when it was encouraging us to study Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen and Dr. John Henrik Clark, listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Malcolm X, Dr. King. We had groups like the X-Clan, Poor Righteous Teachers, Public Enemy, Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One. We had even, I remember when Big Daddy Kane and Public Enemy and Ice Cube did Burn Hollywood Burn. So we have to take it back to that, because that inspired a whole generation, inspired a lot of us to want to go to college, study our history, start businesses, etc. But the other portion that that Dougie Fresh said, and I remember when Dougie Fresh first came out, 6 Minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on, he talked about hip hop artists having to maintain their health and be concerned about their health. And I'm in that same age category. I just turned 52 June 7th. And in April of 2022, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. Okay, when I got my blood pressure, when I went to the doctor, it was 187 over something. Okay, and I've lost almost 30 pounds from working out, eating right. My blood pressure is down to a healthy range now. So I totally understand what he's saying. So all this is extremely important. So great job on that interview, Roland.
All right, folks, got to go to the break. We come back. We'll hear from Hamilton County Commissioner Alicia Reese, the brains behind the Black Walk of Fame. We'll show you what it looks like. The ribbon cutting is tomorrow. And I also took a walk while the vendors are. We saw a lot of folks who love the show. We're going to show y'all some of the sights and sounds of the 52nd Annual Cincinnati Music Festival. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
For decades, the tobacco industry has deliberately targeted Black communities and kids with marketing for menthol cigarettes. It's had a devastating impact on Black health. Tobacco use claims 45,000 Black lives every year. It's the #1 cause of preventable death. In the 1950s, less than 10% of Black smokers used menthol cigarettes. Today, it's 85%. Menthol cools and numbs the throat, making it easier for kids to start smoking. Menthol also increases addiction, making it harder for smokers to quit. Menthol cigarettes are a big reason why Black Americans have a harder time quitting smoking and die at higher rates from smoking-related diseases like cancer, heart disease, and stroke. It's time to stop big tobacco from profiting off Black lives. An FDA ban on menthol cigarettes will improve Black health, save lives, and protect future generations from addiction. Learn more at tobaccofreekids.org/ban menthol.
Hello, I'm Paula J. Parker, truly proud of the Proud Family.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Proud.
Hi, I'm Jo Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder, Disney Plus. And I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
Welcome back to the Cincinnati Music Festival, Paycor Stadium. We're here for the festival kick off in less than 30 minutes. Across the street, where last night we were going to play, tomorrow is the opening of the Cincinnati Black Music Hall of Fame. The person who conceived this was Commissioner Alicia Reese. She's now the president of the county commission here. And so we caught up with her to talk about why this is so important to Cincinnati. All right, Commissioner Reese, we're finally here, and how long have you been waiting for this day?
Well, you know, I actually introduced the idea April 26th of 2021, and then was able to get it passed unanimously July 1st of 2021. But then you had to get the deed, and we were able to get the deed free and clear in October of 2021. Bids went out February of 22. And so now we're here with the grand opening. We've had 3 induction ceremonies, though. We didn't wait around for the construction to go. So we're very excited. And I think one of the historic things is that, one, the land that it's on, right across the river, that's where our slave ancestors came, and many of them drowned across the Ohio River. But those who made it, they lived on this river, and they called the area Bucktown. And you could live here because it was a swampland. And then they figured out a way to build garages and then to build the stadiums. We have our NFL stadium and our Major League Baseball stadium. And this area is called the Banks. And then we've got a music venue and everything in between. But we did have one Black-owned business. And so when I got elected, I said, this is half an acre here. And it was just rocks. And we have a music venue here, but it was named after a Caucasian music teacher who taught in the 1930s in a neighborhood that African Americans could never come to. And so I said, we're going to take this and bring African American Black music artists, producers, and call it a Black Music Walk of Fame. And so it has been a great labor of love, but we couldn't do it alone. We had the county, I was able to get infrastructure money, but then the stars and being able to have all of the marketing and other things, I had to get private dollars. And so Damon Jones of Procter & Gamble, I want to thank him because when I showed him the rocks, I said, can't you see it? And I know he wanted to say, you know, he's looking at me a little strange, but he didn't want me to hurt my feelings. I said, it's going to be the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. And so he stepped forward, being our first sponsor with the stars and those kind of things. Because in Hollywood, you got to pay $55,000 to get a star. And here, Procter & Gamble is funding the stars. So I see it as a public-private partnership. But this was the land that, you know, our ancestors, they were thrown off of and moved out of. And now we're back with a Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, international tourism attraction. And, you know, make no mistake about it, it is a tourism attraction. I wanted it to be free. It's going to be free. It has all the latest technology, augmented reality, video curated with Bootsy. You can perform with Bootsy. The mothership lands virtually with Bootsy, and you're in the video, and you can use your QR codes. We have a beat machine for 50 years of hip-hop, High Tech, who's an inductee who produced with Snoop Dogg. You play the beat on the beat machine, and the water jumps with the beat. So it's very interactive. We got album cover kiosks. So, this idea I just introduced, but knowing that we needed to do something for music, I had for a long time. My mother was a singer and opened up for Stevie Wonder. My father was a rep for Motown. So I grew up around Bootsy and the OJs and Roger and Zapp. And I wanted those stories not to die when we die.
What makes this different? Because there are other walks of fame, as you mentioned. There are other black walks of fame.
Right. Well, what makes it different is that it is a tourism attraction. It's not just some stars and you walk along the stars and take pictures. It is a half an acre of nonstop music when you walk in. There's beds of music at each layer. Like I said, there's a beat maker. All of this is put together just for the Walk of Fame, a 3D star that you could take selfies with. You've got augmented reality. You go by the music monitors and you can sing along and see yourself and download the QR code. It's very interactive. We got over 60 black music influencers. You can learn about it. It has Braille. It has the vibration for people who have hearing impaired. It's very interactive and experiential. And so in tourism, we call it experiential. And so when you come here, it's an experience. It's like a amusement park of a half an acre, but with technology.
One of the things that, and this has really been last 20, 25 years. I remember when there were the battles with the police here, when there were the massive protests, all of those different things that were taking place, and black folks in this city have really been fighting and advocating. Not just where's our money, but also ensuring that black folks have a place and can be recognized. And as your point, you of course, not far from us is the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center. So talk about that again. What people who don't understand what this fight has been like for the last quarter of a century.
I mean, it's been really tough. I mean, because, you know, this land is where African Americans was thrown out. They had black laws, and they were run out of here to other neighborhoods, a neighborhood called the West End, and they ran them out of there. Our fight is for ownership. They have moved us into temporary rental. We are not allowed to own our idea. We're not allowed to own the culture. One of the big things for this project is for me to be a black woman and be the creator, founder, and developer of it. Is unheard of. But the reason I want that story told, because I want the next black person or young kid or black woman to say, wait a minute, I can do it. Let me point to you. Here's the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. The other thing is they pigeonholed us into one thing. I am a very big supporter of the National Underground Railroad and was in office and tried to help with that, get it going. But we have a football stadium, NFL. We have a baseball stadium that is just baseball, owned by the taxpayers, the stadiums. And we have a soccer stadium. But when it comes to the black community, we have to have one thing, and most of the time when we get it, it's temporary. I mean, I love murals. I'm big with art, but murals are temporary because they can be painted over. I wanted something that would be permanent. I want to build something that would be on prime property like we have our football stadium. So now...
And again, for folks who complain about cost, publicly financed.
Yes.
Publicly financed.
Yes.
Publicly financed.
Yes. We have our stadiums are about $1 billion. We have garages that they sit on, $71 million.
And in fact, that stadium, Wall Street Journal did an article a few years ago, that is considered one of the worst taxpayer deals in American history.
Yes, and now I'm at the crest as the president, and with my colleagues, we've got to renegotiate the contract. It's really tough. But, you know, when you look at garage is $71 million. Costs more than a Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame with interactive monitors, entertainment, and the tailgate space costs $30 million. No one ever questions it.
Right.
And so people have asked me, why a Black Music Walk of Fame? I said, well, number one, why not? But number two, that's the missing link. And we collect taxes from diverse people. But for 150 years in county government here, people that look like me never got a return on the investment. And so it's just a half an acre out of 198 acres. I don't know why you would be complaining if you got over 100 acres and we only got a half acre. And the other thing I think that they give this false narrative of why a Black Music Walk of Fame, I've got so many people that are not Black who's ready to come and, ready to hear the history. And I remember a lady that was a CEO, white lady, and she told me, she said, what's the problem, Reese? I said, they said they want something for everyone. She said, it is for everyone. Everyone could come and learn, dance, and enjoy. And that's what it has been. But sometimes with the media, they want to make this narrative to keep people apart. But I'm telling you, people from all over the world are going to be here.
You talked about tourism, and the reality is we spend a significant amount of money when it comes to tourism. And what you're now seeing, you're seeing many of these southern states now trying to benefit off of civil rights tourism. The very same folk who instituted Jim Crow and oppressed Black folks now want to make money off of Black folks. You see the exact same thing happening in Tulsa, where the city and the state, they don't want to pay reparations to the folks who were impacted. You got 3 survivors, but they built this facility where they want to be able to generate revenue of people coming in. And so these sort of things, these keep happening. You said something earlier when you talk about being able to get paid off this. I keep saying this as well, monetizing the culture. I think one of the things that we've got to stop saying, and I hear this all the time, people have got to stop saying, doing this for the culture, for the culture, for the culture, but we got to always be asking, who is getting paid off of the culture?
Right. Yeah, I think one of the things, too, is being able to own the idea, being able to shape the idea.
And also ensure Black people are getting contracts from the idea.
Exactly. And one of the things I think that really happens that I'm seeing is that, we're going to do something for Blacks, but we're not in charge. We don't control it. And we could just come and watch and be at the ribbon cutting and get some ice cream cups and some cupcakes, free food with the food trucks type of thing. But we don't own anything, and they don't back our ideas. And so I'm hoping that this will show a change. But, don't make no mistake about it. It's not easy. It took a lot of hours. I had to go beyond my role as a county commissioner and really, like you said, getting the legislation passed is hard. But once you get it passed, you can't go to bed on it. That's what happened with Juneteenth. The legislation passed, but the people still didn't know they were free. And so after the legislation, that's when the real work begins. And so I'm down here with the hard hats because there's still might be resistance. We're going to slow it down. We're not going to move as fast. What are you talking about? But once everybody kind of got on board, I'm down here every day. I'm looking at it. I'm making sure I'm telling people about it. And so I'm very excited about what we've been able to do. But it's been over, like you said, great odds that we were able to do this. So I think this is what makes it kind of different and unique is that it's where it's positioned. The fact that we have a lot of Black music artists who've been from this area who've gotten Grammys everywhere else, but nothing permanent at their hometown. And now they got something permanent. They can bring people down.
Hometown or home state. I mean, there are a lot of top acts that'll come out of this state, especially bands.
Yes. And a lot of them are in here. You got, Zapp and Roger, Ohio players who are going to be performing live for the induction ceremony. Penny Ford, who travels and performs all overseas with I Got the Power. There's so many people that came out of here. L.A. Reid, who went on to become a big-time executive in the music business, came from the public school system right here. Of course, Bootsy Collins and so many more.
OJs.
So, the OJs. From Heatwave, yes. And a lot of people didn't know, Heatwave right here up the street at Dayton, Ohio. John Legend, a lot of people say, he's from here? Yes, he's from Ohio. So
Brothers Johnson?
Huh?
Brothers Johnson? I'm trying to remember what.
Brothers Johnson. I don't know if they are from here.
I gotta look them up. But it's a whole.
We know Lakeside. Someone said, I didn't know Dottie Peebles was from Dayton, Ohio. You know, it's just so much. Donald Lawrence went to school here at CCM and studied music here. So, you know, Kathleen Battle. I mean, we could go on, but we have to have a place where it's going to be permanent, that people can come to. And we're excited. I mean, even the granite that we've used, is the same granite that President Obama is using for his library. And the reason why I know it, because they came and said, after we had agreed to it, before his library got started, they said, oh, we won't be able to use that. President Obama has all the granite now. I said, oh, now you going to blame that on him too? But we have the same granite as President. It's quality.
And what you told them? Go find some more?
Right, go find some more. And, you know, the other thing, they would even question, is it going to be quality? You know, just, you know, black music and black person putting it. Is it going to be quality? It is super duper quality. And we have diverse people working on this project. We created 155 jobs. It's going to have an economic impact of millions of dollars. It's so we're very excited about it, and I really believe people from all over the world will be coming back, especially when they hear about it on Roland Martin as we move forward.
A last question for you. What's next? I mean, obviously, you have this annual music festival, but that's just 2 to 3 days. You know, what are you also you know, looking to do that sort of year-round to get people to understand coming here, but also understanding the history?
Yeah, well, first thing we did is that this Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame is the 365-day. It's open 365 days a year. We wanted to make it free for families to come, so that way we get rid of the cost barrier. We wanted something that grandma and the grandkids could come to. People can, we already getting calls for people wanting to plan their family reunions around it. Sororities and fraternities wanting to come and have tours and have events coming down here. So I really believe that we're going to get a lot of action. And one of the things that we really want to do is make sure the word gets out nationally and internationally. So as we continue, we're able to expand, and people can, others can come in, like Procter & Gamble came in and how Kroger's came in. They could come in and keep this thing going. I think it's important to have an endowment. So, you know, I'm looking at things that's going to be around when I'm gone. And I'm really interested in things that are going to be permanent versus things that are temporary. The music festival is wonderful. We've had it for 52 years, and I truly support it. The county is the second largest sponsor of it. But after the weekend, all the African Americans come, we get a weekend, and then we got to go home. The Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame will be here, whether it's a Bengals game, a concert, a Reds game. It's here 365 days, and it's open and ready to accept people coming in and learning and enjoying.
All right, then. Well, certainly glad to be here. Looking forward to the grand opening tomorrow.
Yes, and people can go to CincyBlackMusicWalkOfFame.org to learn more, or follow us on our Instagram, Cincy Black Music, or Facebook.
All right. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I tell you, Matt, this is what happens when you got black folks in power. This is how you use your black political power.
Absolutely. You have that duty to do that. And especially, I was caught off guard. I didn't remember how many amazing artists that have been so important to me throughout my time playing music are from Cincinnati. So this is incredible. This is really a brilliant use of this platform. And I'm glad that it's right there near the stadiums, because it's important to juxtapose to the community. Like, if we're going to spend money and political resources on, you know, stadiums for athletics, we should also really show our hometown talent. So that's a good thing. I think it's a beautiful project, and I can't wait to see it. And also, shout out to High Tech. I forgot High Tech was from Cincinnati, but one of my favorite producers of all time. And Felipe Wynn, the best singer ever with the Spinners. So really, really a great project.
Michael.
Yeah, you know, Roland, this is something really powerful. It's going to bring about $107 million or so in economic impact to the city of Cincinnati. It attracts about 90,000 people a year. And then also, in reading this information from WCPO, Thursday night, there was a panel discussion on hip hop and activism. And they saw clips of the PBS documentary Fight the Power, how hip hop changed the world. And part of that discussion was Dr. Hassan Kwame Jeffries, who is a brilliant historian, a nephew of one of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, an associate professor of history at Ohio State University. So you're in really good company, Roland. So give a shout out to Dr. Hassan Kwame Jeffries as well. So great job on reporting from Cincinnati, Roland.
So, folks, tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, they're going to have the first one's going to be a program at 1 p.m. Announcing the inductees, and they're going to have the ribbon cutting. We're going to be carrying that live right here on the Black Star Network. Matt, thanks a lot. Michael, thanks a lot. I appreciate y'all joining us on this shortened edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered. When we come back, we're going to talk to a brother. He's an institution in Cincinnati. This is the 52nd year of this. He's been here for 50 of them. Next, Lincoln Ware joins me right here on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hey, what's up? Geek Tony in the place to be. Got Kicked Out Your Mama's University, creator and executive producer of Fat Tuesdays, an air hip-hop comedy. But right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
I hope I can hear you. I almost need an earpiece.
Hey, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. We're here at Cincinnati Music Festival. The man next to me needs no introduction, an institution in Cincinnati, a radio host, Lincoln Ware. Lincoln, how you doing, man?
Hey, Roland, I'm doing great. It's good to see you again.
Always good to see you.
Glad you're here for the P&G Cincinnati Music Festival and for the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. I tell you, it's going to be huge. And we haven't even scratched the surface of talent in this area.
Well, first of all, this is the 52nd year. You said you've been here for 50 of these?
I've been here since 1973, emceeing these events. We were off a couple of years. We had a boycott here in Cincinnati, and they went to Detroit. I did go to Detroit, but I didn't get on stage in Detroit. Matter of fact, I had the chance to meet Levi Stubbs when he was still alive when we were in Detroit. But I've been with them the entire time from 73.
How has this changed?
Oh, boy. The sponsors have changed. They used to, Cool Cigarettes used to sponsor.
So this used to be the Cool Jazz Festival.
Yeah, it used to be the Cool Jazz Festival. You know, you couldn't do that nowadays. But, I mean, the sponsors have changed and everything has changed. The stadium, we were at Riverfront Stadium. Now we're at Paycor Stadium, formerly Paul Brown Stadium. So a lot of things have changed. The people who run it, Dino Santangelo started it off. Joe Santangelo taking over after he passed away.
Well, I'll tell you what, you got a lot of African Americans all around the Midwest. And many people say this used to be basically the Essence Festival of the Midwest.
Yes, it did. I'm telling you, people come from everywhere, from Mississippi to New York. They're up here every year. And last year we had Janet Jackson here, and it was just off the chain. But this has been a yearly event for a lot of people, especially Chicago. Chicago brings more people than anybody in the country right here.
Talk about you celebrating 50 years in broadcasting.
Oh, man, a lot has changed. From splicing tape, when we used to edit, I used to have a razor blade and some tape to edit commercials and stuff. Now it's all digital. A lot has changed. I haven't been able to keep up with it all.
All I understand. Well, man, look, it is always good to see you. Good to see you. Congratulations on 50 years in radio.
Thank you, Roland.
So I had to give you a little airtime.
Hey,
so it's always good to see you, baby.
Appreciate it. Good to see you.
All right, folks, here's the deal. That is it for us. Again, we're going to be covering all weekend. Go to our app. Go to our YouTube channel. We're going to be live tomorrow. We're also going to have post coverage next week as well. And so a lot of things we'll be covering right here with Procter & Gamble from the 52nd Annual Cincinnati Music Festival. I'm about to go enjoy my frat brother, Gerald Albright. We're going to be doing interviews with a bunch of different celebrities as well. So y'all want to stay tuned. We're the only ones who are doing this. This is why we do what we do. So we thank for y'all for checking us out. We're going to have great coverage all weekend. Do not want to miss what we're doing. I'll see you guys tomorrow right here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?